So we're going to begin with questions from the students who organized tonight's event. The first question will go to Mr. Lockhart. What is the most important issue of this election and why? As you answer this question, we'd like you to state why you believe your candidate's platform on this issue is a better one, the most important issue of the election. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, I think it's clearly getting the economy working again for middle class in this country. As I said in the opening statement, the economy may have worked for some people, but for most Americans, they've fallen behind in the last 8 years. In the last couple months, the bottom has fallen out for anyone who owns a home, anyone who has a 401k, and for people who are worried about losing their job. So I think turning the economy around and going back to the sensible policies that we saw in the 1990s when our economy was quite strong. And I think, you know, people talk about wealth distribution. I think Senator Obama has been quite clear on this. It's people paying their fair share. The tax breaks that have been given to the very wealthy in this country have done a lot of good for the very wealthy in this country, but not for the vast majority of this country. And I think if you go around and you talk to people, people want the economy to move again, and even those who do well are willing to pay their fair share. Under Barack Obama's plan, 95% of the country gets a tax break. Now, when you talk about the economy, it brings in a number of other issues. You know, we've got to change the healthcare system. We've got to make it more accessible to Americans. We've got to make it more affordable. We've got to stop a system that is a giveaway to the HMOs and the insurance companies. That does not work for most Americans. Again, it may work. We have a system that works for the people who are the most well-off and the least well-off, but everybody in the middle's been squeezed. We've also got to become energy independent. I think Senator Obama's plans on renewable energy and making those investments and creating 5 million green jobs and committing to that and actually showing up for that it will be crucial as we go forward. So I think, you know, we're going to have a president, whether it's McCain or Obama, who's going to face a country that's going to have 8 or 9% unemployment, and it's going to be getting this economy going, getting people back to work.
Okay, Senator Santorum.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be facing 8 or 9% unemployment, number one, and as you know, the unemployment rate in this country over the last 8 years has been below the unemployment rate during the 8 years of the Clinton administration. The bottom line is, yes, there are some people hurting in our country, but our economy has grown over the last 8 years, and our standard of living is better than it was 8 years ago. I know everybody likes to paint that the world is falling apart and everybody's struggling, but the world is not falling apart in this country, and not everybody is struggling. Yes, there are people struggling. Yes, we need to focus on that. Yes, we need to turn our economy around. But to paint this picture that the last 8 years was just Armageddon is just factually not correct. Number one. Number two, what Barack Obama is suggesting is a very, very dangerous thing. Fair share. Fair. Is that an objective term? Fair? Of course it's not. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. And what we have is someone who believes fair is to tax them. I'll give you an example. Capital gains tax. The last 2 times we cut the capital gains tax rate under President Reagan, under President Bush, revenues to the government went up. Let me repeat that. We cut the capital gains tax rate, revenues to the government went up. Charlie Gibson, I believe, asked Barack Obama that question. Why would you increase? He wants to double the capital gains tax rate. Double the capital gains tax rate on small businesses and investors. Why would you increase the capital gains tax rate when you know that when you cut it, actually the revenue went up? His response was, well, I just think it's fair. In other words, I just want to tax people who make money more, and that's fair. Well, the problem is we do a pretty good job of that in America. Most of the people in the top 5% pay over half the taxes in this country. The bottom 40% of taxpayers pay no income tax. Let me repeat that. The bottom 40% of taxpayers in America pay no federal income tax. And in fact, the bottom 20% pay no Social Security tax once they get their check back. The bottom line is we already have a very fair and progressive tax system. He wants to make it even more progressive, more punitive. When you do that, you hit small businesses, who are the people who create jobs, and you hit the people who create wealth in this country. I know it's populist. It's not a hard thing to go out and say, hey, I'm going to give 95% of you a tax break. Well, boy, that's a real tough stance for a politician to take. What's tough to say is, by doing so, I'm going to reduce the overall wealth in our country.
Okay, thank you very much. You have 1 minute for a rebuttal.
Well, it may surprise you all, but I'm going to quote a hero of the conservative movement and the right, which is Ronald Reagan. And he defeated a candidate that I voted for, the first candidate I ever voted for, Jimmy Carter, by asking a simple question, which is, are you better off than you were before the Republicans were in charge for 8 years? And the vast majority of Americans are not better off. They've either tread water or fallen behind in the last 8 years, and they know, and people are going to vote with their pocketbook this time. And I think people understand the difference between the economic policies we saw under a Democratic administration and what we've seen over the last 8 years. And there's a reason. John McCain is a good, experienced man, but he wants to do what George Bush has done. He wants to extend the economic policy. The country overwhelmingly is rejecting that, and there's a reason why Barack Obama, someone who's new to the scene, is now, by some polls today, 10, 11, 12 points ahead nationally, and even further ahead in the states where it's really competitive. So I think the public knows what they're doing. I'll finish by quoting George Bush, 43, and saying that we should trust the people. They know what's going on in the country. They know what's in their interest, and they know 4 more years of sort of Bush-McCain economics isn't in their interest.
Okay, thank you.